All right, let's see if we can get this thing wrapped up. And so we left off on printing the results. And so we've got this array now that's going to hopefully have, in the end, this number that's supposed to be a 4 or 5. And this one's got 2, and this one's 0, and this one's 4, and this one's 3, and so on and so forth. So we've got these different numbers that are going to represent that element in the alphabet. And so at the time we run this whole quote, we'll have a number in every single apartment. Well, then we can come into our array and say, in order to print it out, first of all, I need to print what the letter is. And so I've got a loop here, and I've got to somehow translate that 0 is an A, and so on. And so I can take and say, create a char variable and call it letter. And this letter is going to be whatever letter we had. So whatever letter we're on, apartment 0. So I plus, let's make it back into an ASCII character. So how do I turn that I back into an A? Well, before I took off 97, now I'm going to add back in 97. All right, so I add that back in, and it's not liking it because it's supposed to be a char. It's saying parentheses can be removed. I don't know why it hurts to have those parentheses on, but let's get to the right error. Cannot implicitly convert type into char. You need to convert this. And the way I convert it is by putting in what we call casting. I'm going to cast this information to be a char by putting the type I want in front of the value in parentheses. So I want to turn this into a char, and I've got the I plus 97, so now it is going to want the parentheses, by the way. So take I, because it wants that to happen first. Otherwise, it's going to try and convert the I into a char and then add 97, which isn't going to work. And so that's why I was doing the parentheses, but it wouldn't show us the error when I did that. Okay, so I'm going to take and convert this 0 plus 97, or if it's a 1, 1 plus 97, or a 2, so on and so forth. It's going to take that number, whatever number we are on through the loop, add 97 onto it, convert it to a char, and then set the letter variable that's a char type equal to whatever that is. And so now that I have that, I want to first of all print out what letter it is. So I'm going to say console.write, and let's start with the right line. I'll fix this in a minute because right line is what we've used, and then print out the letter. All right, and I probably want to print out the letter and then colon. Well, if I can find it, a colon, and I want to concatenate those things together. So we're going to print out the letter and then a colon. And let's go ahead and just try this to see what happens. So I do already have the functionality here to call that alphabet counter method I've created. So if I run this and I say testing again, then it goes and prints out the entire alphabet. Now it's printing it one per line because that's what I've told it to do. That's what the right line does. I also have the ability, if I want to keep it on the same line, to do a write. And so I can do write, and if I do this without the right line, then it doesn't return to a new line after that. It keeps it all on the same line. And that's more of the idea of what I had in mind. So, okay. So, what do we want to do next? So we need to get how many times that letter was printed, and so I can do that by, I'll put a space in here so that we're not scrunched up against that colon. And then to this, I can concatenate on the letter So we're printing out the A here, colon, and then how many times was that letter used. I can go out to my letters array at the element that corresponds to wherever I'm at in the loop. So at first it'll be 0, then 1, then 2. So we'll do A and then B and then C and then D. And so it's looping through and going this apartment, next time, next apartment, next time, next apartment. And so every time this number is changing, the I is changing, it's going to look at the next apartment along the way. Then I can use I there, and it will go out to the letters array at that spot, which will make it rotate each time. All right, now if I do this, it'll scrunch those together. So I've got to figure out a good way to print this. It says A0 and then they're scrunched. And so I probably want to do something like put, concatenate onto that a comma and then a space. That's going to create a little problem for us, but I can fix that. And then the problem is just after Z, it's going to put a comma on there. And so I could choose whether to put the comma or not or on. So maybe what I'll do is this. I'll just put on an if statement that says, if I is less than, I want to go everything but the last character. So if I say letters length -1, which you can see it's already suggesting it for me. Very helpful. If we're the second to last character or any character before that, then we'll do this console.write, which remember we haven't left that line yet, so it's all going to stay on the same line. I'll take whatever was there and I'll add on a comma and then a space. But if I'm only going to do that if we're anything less than the length of the letters array -1. So this way, when I run this, then it won't put 1 after that last one. Now it is printing this word alphabet, and I realize that's a little bit of a problem because what I had intended to do was to return this letters array to print. And so all of this code needs to go back in my other method. And so I can't decide if that's a better, it's probably better because this is kind of a specialized thing rather than, I'm trying to decide what would be better. It just feels like this class maybe just knows to call the method. It's not going to know what to do with it. And so I'm going to print that alphabet, and then what I'm going to do is not return anything. So I'll just make this void instead. I could pass back if I wanted to this array, the letters array, and just pass back an integer array, and then I could return letters, which would pass back this array back to the method that had called it. But I'm feeling like it's going to be a cleaner thing for us to just leave this as void and print in this method. All right, so that'll go through and print out each of the letters and their count. We no longer need a return statement here. Let's run this one more time. Now it is, what did I get? My stomach just growled. Hopefully the mic didn't pick that up. Need to eat some lunch. Operator plus cannot be, so I've got an error. Oh. So now we don't want to print out the word alphabet, or we even could print out the word alphabet, but we want to just call the method. Right now it's trying to use this as if it was returning something. It's not returning anything. And now you're catching me trying to hurry. So I'll print out the alphabet, and then after I've done that, then let's call that method. So I'll say wt dot alphabet counter, pass in the quote, run this. So ask not what you can, let's see, ask, what's the quote? I'm too much pressure. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Great quote. And now it tells us that there are 18 words in there, 80 characters, and we have a count for each of those characters. You know, I actually think I like it better with the count going down instead of over. So I might change this actually and get rid of the little comma and just make each of these a right line. It's a little cleaner to read. Let's get rid of that logic. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And then we get the stats that are a little bit easier to read. Okay, I blew it. I'm over 10 minutes, but hopefully that was helpful to go through that example together. Spencer out.